How's it going out there, YouTuber? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this movie review and see what I saw. So last night I had the pleasure of checking out a new film that I hadn't seen before. Now this film came out in 2011 and it's a Spanish psychological thriller starring an awesome cast. One that's a couple that are notable that we've seen throughout some films, and then some that are just mainly Spanish actors and actresses themselves. And that is the film The Skin I Live In. Now, this, like I said, is a psychological horror film, and it has one of those kind of premises that you're like, seems interesting, but then you find out the actual plot, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. This is actually one of the films that's on one of those lists of like most craziest or most screwed up types of horror films out there. And so my girlfriend had actually found this on the list and said, we should check this out. So we ended up, getting it through our DVD service and checked it out last night. And we were both came out and going, yeah, I can see why this is on that list. But this is an interesting, definitely a very different type of film. Now, this film is actually directed by a gentleman who has actually directed a few other like notable films that have come over to the United States and have kind of become like award winners, Sundance film type of films. And that's Mr. Dorvar. Now, Pedro Almodovar has also filmed a couple other films, like I said previously, that were considered kind of big over here in the United States, but are all pretty much Spanish speaking films. Now, a couple of them, one, I haven't seen either of them, but I do know about them, and I've seen the previews for them. Now, one of them is a film that Penelope Cruz was in that came out, I believe, 2007-ish, and that is the film Volver, which was considered a kind of a big success film over here in the United States. And Penelope Cruz kind of got big, praise for this film because it was another one of those films that was very different and took, that genre to a whole new extreme. And the film just was considered like a big box office success too, as well, and was considered considered one of the classics to see these days. Another film that he made, which I remember when this film was coming out, I remember seeing the covers, I remember seeing the posters for this film, never ended up seeing it, but it was another one that was kind of one of those extreme type of films. And that is the film Bad Education that came out in 2004, which was another one that Pedro had directed and was a big success over here, not just in his native land. And this was another one that was kind of took a twist where the main character is kind of two different personalities almost, and is a whole other like aspect to this type of film. It was considered a interesting and unique film, and I might eventually get around to watching these, but who knows. But pretty much other than that, majority of Pedro's films have been Spanish-speaking films. But with The Skin I Live In, Pedro did an interesting job and gave us a whole new like horror type of franchise type of drama film. It was a very different psychological, horror film, and he gave it a whole new twist and really brought a very different type of film for, us to watch. And he definitely is a decent director. He has really good, cinematography eye. He has really good visual styles, and he's a really good, imaginative director. He brings a lot of story. He gives stories a really great, personal view and gives it a new imagining, which was really cool. Now, this film has a interesting and, decent cast. One person that's in this film is a big star that's been, a big Spanish star and a big star over here. Another one is she's pretty much, a big star herself, has done a few movies over here and has done a lot of Spanish films as well. And then pretty much everyone else in the film has basically just done Spanish films and really nothing over here, even television or so forth. But to start off this awesome cast, we have the awesome and amazing Mr. Antonio Banderas. Now, Antonio Banderas plays the main character in the film, and he is like this basically a plastic surgeon in the film, and I thought it was a very different and unique role for him because I hadn't really seen him in this type of psychological drama. I've seen him in action films, drama films, but definitely nothing like this one. But you might recognize Mr. Antonio Banderas from a slew of great films. A couple that I really enjoy are a good, awesome franchise that I absolutely thought was an amazing franchise. Was the awesome Spy Kids franchise, which I absolutely loved him in and thought he was awesome. He was really awesome as the father, and he gave a lot of great like Spanish influence to the film, and just made it super kind of funny. He kind of made it quirky and kind of like over exaggerated on it, and I absolutely loved that. I thought it was super funny. Another great film that he was in that I really enjoyed was an awesome film that came out in 2002, and that's the film Ballistic: X versus Sever. Now, this is a really underrated film, I feel, and I think it was a really amazing and awesome action-packed, like, sci-fi film. Lucy Liu was awesome in it, Ray Parks was really awesome in it, and just everyone involved was really awesome. It made me think a lot of that film that Christian Bale made, Equilibrium, and it had that kind of same vibe, I feel, and it just was a really underrated and awesome film that I don't think Antonio got enough credit for, because I thought he was so intense and really awesome and action-packed in. Really great film if you haven't seen it. Definitely check that out if you don't. But in The Skin I Live In, Antonio Banderas plays an amazing character. I absolutely love his passion in the film. I absolutely love how like dark and sinister he plays the character, and just how different it was from anything I've seen him play before. And I just thought he was a really good component of the film and gave it some interesting light. Made it entertainable, and made it worthy of watching and completing the film, It wasn't one of those films that, you're kind of like going to be sitting there going, oh yeah, this is the most amazing film ever. No, this is a film kind of like, you're like, what's going on? I'm kind of think this movie sucks. I should turn it off. But because of his performance, he made it enjoyable enough to be able to watch the whole film and wanting to, watch the entire film. So I thought he was really great in it, and he was a great addition to the film. We also have in the film another awesome actress who is, the other main character in the film, and she played the role very interesting too. She wasn't too bad, and she was kind of interesting in the role, and it was funny seeing her in a different type of, like, this type of role, because compared to the other roles I've seen her in, it was very different than her previous roles I've seen. And that's Miss Alana Anya. Now, Alana Anya we might recognize from such newer films, or even some great films that came out last year. One actually came out last year that was an amazing and awesome superhero film, and that was Wonder Woman. She actually plays the evil doctor chick that has the half face in the film, and I totally did not realize that was her until I had looked through her filmography, and I was like, I know I've seen this gal somewhere before, and it was in Wonder Woman. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe that's her. I'm like, wow, she's really awesome in Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is just an awesome film too, and she just was super cool in it, and just did an amazing job with the role, and it's just a great film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's worth a watch. Another awesome film that she was in that I think is a sleeper hit that I don't think it gets enough credit for is an awesome film from 2004, Van Helsing. She actually plays one of the three brides in the film that is Dracula's, like, little concubine thing going on, or whatever, his wives or whatever. Found that even more hilarious that she was one of those characters, because I totally didn't recognize her in that. So when I found that out, and I was like, holy crap, that is her. Because I remember those chicks when I first saw Van Helsing and thinking, they're kind of cute. They're kind of interesting. They're not bad. They're good choices for, those characters. And I remember one of them, I thinking that she was, like, super gorgeous. And of course, it wasn't her, but she still was very interesting and played that character very well. And it was funny hearing her voice in Spanish versus her English, and how different it is, and like how well she speaks English too. And so it was like really cool seeing her in a whole new light. And in the Skin, she was, like I said, really cool and interesting, and she gave a whole new different type of aspect of her acting ability, and pretty much was, a very interesting character having to portray the character she did. She had to take on certain mannerisms and stuff like that, and it was a really well done role, and she made it enjoyable too. Now, the other few characters and actors that are in the film, like I said, they're not really anything. They're not nobody really big except for over in Spain. Actually, they all, pretty much did a whole bunch of Spanish type of films and television series and stuff like that. And so these are more of honorable mentions, unfortunately, for these characters. But there was an actress in the film that she wasn't too bad. She was kind of interesting, that plays one of the characters that we kind of see throughout the film. And that's Miss Marissa Pedraeus, who was an interesting character in the film, too. This was probably one of her last films that she's done in a while, but she has been around for many, many years, and she's actually done quite a few Spanish films over the last 30 years, and she was actually, in her younger days, she was actually a really attractive woman, and seeing the difference, she's aged pretty gracefully, but at the same time, she wasn't too bad of an actress. She was actually pretty good. She was convincing in the character, and she definitely was fun in the film, and she made it enjoyable too. Another actor that was in the film that's kind of one of the main characters, and has a bit part in the film, but hasn't really done anything over here in the United States, but has done a lot of Spanish stuff, is Mr. Jan Cornet, who I think is a model as well. He's actually done some modeling and stuff like that. But I found him interesting in the film too, because you're kind of like, wow, they kind of did a good job of, connecting his character and Elena's character, how they are, basically tied together in the film. And they, it was very believable, and it made it, more interesting how alike they were. And I thought he did a decent job too. I liked his character. I thought he was interesting, and I thought he did a good job as well, and made the movie interesting as well. So if you're not familiar with what this film's about, basically what the premise of the story is, like I said, Antonio Banderas is a plastic surgeon, and basically he has been trying to, over the last 5 years, create this skin that people can wear that'll keep them from getting burned and getting bit by like bugs and stuff like that. And the reason he's doing this is because, unfortunately, his wife was in a horrific car crash that caused her to be burned all over her body, and unfortunately, he's unable to save her, basically. And so he decides to take another subject and try to make that same skin for them so that this doesn't happen to another person like it did to his wife. And that's pretty much the premise of the film, is about him and this work and this person that he has had, trying out this skin that he is trying to create. And basically there's twists and turns throughout the plot too as well that you're not going to see coming until you see the film. I don't want to give away too much because then that'll ruin the film for you, but it's a really twisted plot. I can see, like I said, why it's on that list. Definitely an interesting film. I give this one 4 Golden Movie Boxes up. Definitely I felt it was a skin flick because there was so much just nudity in this film. Pretty much, and so much like sexuality in the film too. I felt like it was like a Skinamax film almost. Watch, back in the day when, flip through the channels at night and, when you're a teenager and looking for, Skinamax, It was kind of, almost gave me that kind of feeling too, besides the drama, psychological horror element, which I found kind of interesting and funny as well. And so it was definitely an interesting flick. If you haven't seen it, definitely give it a try. It's definitely worth watching once just to see it, to get the idea, because the backing behind the premise and what the story's about was a really cool idea. I really thought it was an interesting, and different type of plot, and I thought definitely that was good about it. Very, very well done. Very interesting, and definitely decent enough to watch at least once. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And as also, thank you for subscribing. And if this is your first time here, or you've been here before and haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss one of these awesome movie reviews or any of the awesome videos I put up. And as always, keep your eyes out for any older, newer videos you might not have seen mine yet. And as always, check out that awesome link down below about the awesome Horror Pack. Now, Horror Pack is an awesome subscription service that comes right to your door that you pay monthly of either 4 DVDs or 4 Blu-rays of horror films. Each box also includes a limited edition that each awesome box comes with that is only exclusive to the awesome Horror Pack. So if you're a huge collector and you love limited edition items, what better way to get some awesome limited edition films into your collection of horror goodness than getting this awesome pack? Especially too when it's included in the price and you're not paying a buttload out the wazoo for an actual limited edition. And as always, if you're interested, let me know in the comments if you're going to actually sign up, because I can get you a discount on your first month if you're interested. And as always, catch you next one.